Hardy Hay from West Virginia. Still no. Well, what I do know is the joke of the day is right here, ready and waiting for you. Are you ready? I know you are. You've been waiting. So, how do Americans make their tea? By throwing it into the harbor. Yeah, you know, the Boston Tea Party when they threw all the tea into the harbor. Anyways, let's throw ourselves into the percent of increase and percent of decrease. More applications of percentages. Now, we talked before about the idea of a discount amount and an increase amount. And we said what you do is you take the original and you add the increase amount, or you subtract the discount amount, and that gives you the new price. But we said in order to get that increase amount or that decrease amount, what you have to do is you have to take a percent of the original. Well, this is a different situation. This is saying, okay, I know that something went from this value to this value. I already know what the increase amount or the decrease amount is. I already know that amount. I'm trying to figure out the percentage that's involved. So it's kind of working a little bit backwards. But one of the best ways to figure it out is this sentence that you see right here. The increase amount is what percent of the original? Increase amount is what percent of the original? And if I can go ahead and flip this over now, if we're talking percent of decrease, by the same token, very similar sentence, or a similar question, the decrease amount is what percent of the original? So same ideas, it's just a matter of are you increasing the amount or are you decreasing the amount? And again, what we're looking for here is the percentage. But remembering that we've talked before about the word is means equal and the word of means multiplication. When you look at this question or this phrasing, it allows you to set up an equation because you'll put your equal sign here, you'll put your multiplication symbol right here. So let's take a look at this example and see how it works. We have a retailer who is selling ballpoint pens. And the retailer has increased the price of those ballpoint pens from 40 cents a pen to 45 cents a pen. And we want to know what's the percent of increase. In other words, when we went from 40 to 45, what was the percentage that was applied to that 40 cents to take us to 45 cents? That's what we're really looking at. So in order to figure that out, we're going to say, okay, this increase amount is going to be what percent of that original amount. Now, we do know that increase amount because we know that we went from 40 cents to 45 cents. So the increase amount is going to be 45 cents minus 40 cents. That's an increase amount of 5 cents. There's our increase amount. So now we can use that and apply it into our question. The increase amount, which we've now figured out to be 5 cents, goes right here. So the increase amount is what percent? Well, that's what we're looking for. So let's let P equal that percent. So the increase amount is what percent, I don't know, of means multiplication, the original. A percent of the original. You never do a percent of the final, always a percent of the original. Even when we talked before about discount amounts and sales tax amounts, we said we always take a percent of the original. Here, the original price was 40 cents. So we're going to multiply that P to 40 cents. Now all we have to do is solve this equation, which we know how to do pretty easy. Just go through and divide both sides by that 0.40. 0.40 here, and then 0.05 divided by 0.40 is going to be 0.125. We just need to remember that that's the decimal value. We want to know the percentage value. And you know that in order to turn this into a percentage, all you have to do is take that decimal point, slide it 2 to the right, giving us 12.5%. That is the percent of increase. In other words, if we would take this 12.5% and multiply it to 40 cents, now in order to do that, you need to convert it to 0.125. When you multiply 0.125 to 40 cents, you will get 5 cents. And when you add that 5 cents to your 40 cents, that's what gives you the 45 cent new price. So like I said, this is how percent of increase works, and what you saw was percent of decrease is a very similar idea. Though with percent of decrease, same question, but it's the decrease amount is what percent of the original. So let's take a look at this situation. Now we're not doing dollars and cents here. We're looking at a situation where we have this patient, and the patient, as we check, maybe it's a shoulder, or maybe it's a knee, or an ankle, or wrist, or whatever, but the patient's range of motion has decreased, not going well here, from 25 degrees to 10 degrees. And we want to know, what is that percent of decrease that has happened? Well, remember, the big question here is, I'm looking for the percentage. So I need to know that decrease amount is what percent of the original. Well, the decrease amount, we went from 25, let's see here, decrease amount, we went from 25 to 10. That's a decrease of 15. So this decrease amount of 15 degrees, that is, that decrease amount of 15 degrees is what percent of my original that I started with. So my decrease amount of 15 is means equals. The percent is what I'm looking for, so let's again let P equal that percent. And remember, it's a percent of, meaning multiplication, the original. The original doesn't always mean the smallest number. It doesn't always mean the biggest number. It simply means, what did you start with? In this case, we started with 25 degrees. So that P, that percentage, is going to be multiplied to the 25. So, you know how to solve this. You know to go through, and let's divide both sides by 25. And 15 divided by 25 is going to be 0.6. And like we said before, that's the decimal value. We need the percent of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to slide it to the right. Fill that blank space in with a 0, giving us 60%. That is the percentage that has been applied to the 25 degrees to decrease it from 25 degrees to 10 degrees. And you can check this. Take that 60%. Remember, it's 60% of the original being 25. So if we say take 60% of, meaning multiplication, we've multiplied 60% to 25, convert that 60% to 0.6. 0.6 times 25 is going to be 15 degrees, or 15. And when we take that 15 and subtract it from 25, that will give us our 10 degrees that we finally settled into. So hopefully you can see this application of percentage. There are so many applications. But this idea of percent of increase, percent of decrease, they both mean essentially the same thing, in that they both are saying what was the percentage that was applied to the original that gave us either the increase amount or the decrease amount. So all we have to do is answer this question. The increase or decrease amount is what percent of the original, knowing that is always indicates and equals of always indicates multiplication. I hope that helps. Have a great day.